welcome to Building Stories, a podcast where we tell honest and sometimes funny stories about construction and digital transformation. We're very excited to have Mustafa Alishmawy with us today. He's a senior BIM and digital delivery consultant supporting digital delivery management for large-scale construction projects and currently working as a senior digital engineer for the Victorian Infrastructure Delivery Authority as part of the digital engineering team on the Northeast Linked project. And he also runs a US-based consultancy called Proline. So thank you so much for coming to join us today, mate.
Thanks, Luke. Happy to be with you.
So your young years, if we go back to when you're just a young boy, were there any hints that you would be a builder or a maker or involved in this industry when you're growing up?
Not very early years, but maybe when I was at year 6 or 7, I started noticing how engineering is some interesting thing where I saw some movies that were showing engineers as very great people, and specifically one movie about the high dam in Egypt that showed how engineers are very good, and that's when I started searching more and asking about how to be an engineer and so on.
Wow, okay. And so was that a kind of a clear decision then from that point, or did you try some different things as you entered the workforce?
I can't say so, but because at that time my sister and brother are doctors, and my family likes the doctor, and even in Egypt they like the medicine field a lot, so they always encourage kids to join that. So there was a part where I
Okay.
thought about it, but yeah, I thought joining faculty of engineering would be better when I started high school, let's say.
Okay, cool. So you've gone down this route. You've done the study. What happens after the study? Where do you land
Yeah,
yourself?
uh, when I joined the university, it was a little shocking because now I realized it's not that fun because there are lots of things to study, and lots of theories, lots of subjects, and the study load was enormous. So yeah, I had some hiccups, but then yeah, I decided on civil engineering and continued with that till graduation. And even at final years in university, I started learning about. Um, I w- I won't say digital engineering. I don't think the term was very common at that time, but I was very interested about BIM modeling, mainly Revit, robot structural analysis, some Tekla, some software that's supporting the BIM modeling, and yeah, became very interested with that, and that challenged me to continue in that field after graduation.
Is that by chance? Like, is it just like what drew you to that? Because I imagine in this engineering course and through the course of you know uh,
Yeah,
learning about this, you would have been exposed to some of this BIM world and this
yeah,
emerging sort of technology. But not every engineer does that. There's not
yeah,
too many
yeah,
engineers that fall into this
yeah,
passion for BIM. So
yeah.
this
Actually,
probably sets you unique in that respect.
yeah, I started now trying to remember the main reason why I looked for this digital software, and I remember that the main reason was I didn't like drawing using a pencil and rulers, and the tier really it was is I didn't like it. And I never had when I used my pencil to draw it was always challenging to control my myself drawing using these tools. So when I was, I think, the last year or before the last year in university, we had to deliver a project, and I thought I heard about AutoCAD. At that time, we had it as just an optional material, or maybe it was obligatory material. But yeah, we took it briefly. So I thought, why don't I use AutoCAD? And I took course in AutoCAD. I found it interesting. That was around 2010. But then I started searching, are there other tools that I can use to deliver my project? It was a steel project for a station. We were doing structural analysis, but we had also to deliver drawings. So I was the only one in the team using these tools. I made a model in Revit and made the analysis in robot structural analysis. And yeah, that was the main motivation. I didn't like the manual drawing.
It just doesn't make sense, right? It's like, why are we doing this?
Yeah,
And even when you get to AutoCAD, it's like, it's
yeah,
still destroying.
yeah. It is. Yeah, and yeah, this opened to me a door for this world of digital modeling and so and this started evolving through the years after that.
Yeah, okay. So you come out of that, you've got yourself, a degree or whatnot.
Yeah,
Where do you go to start,
yeah,
showing your skills?
yeah. Firstly, it was very hard to find uh, a work that exactly fit my skills. So I started as a site engineer for a few months, but I didn't like it also. I think I'm always having an issue with the dust and being exposed to it all the time. So I didn't like being on site. So I kept searching and applying for jobs till I found a technical office engineer role at a steel factory, and I had to do fabrication drawings for steel structures, and this part I liked it a lot. At that time, I mastered Tekla. Before joining, I had um, little knowledge about Tekla and another software called AutoCAD Structural Detailing. So I joined the job and then mastered the this software, and at that part the steel detailing was very interesting to me, and but also I didn't feel that's the perfect job for me. I kept looking, I was exploring for the first 3 years, so I moved from several jobs looking for my passion. And after that I joined also a training center as an instructor, because I was one of the early adopters of Revit in my city, Alexandria. I learned it while in college, so I was interesting for the centers there to get me to do training on Revit. And yeah, that was the first year after graduation. Then I moved to Saudi Arabia, and that's where another part of my career started. So in Egypt, for the first year, it was more of exploration, trying to find my dream job, but yeah, I couldn't find it at that time.
Been quite a
So
few challenges along that journey as you went out of Egypt and into Saudi. What are some of the key challenges that you faced?
Yeah, the key challenge was also finding a job that suits me, and maybe that's also one of my motivations to always share knowledge and share some career tips to the people that I know and the graduates, because of the challenge that I faced after graduation from engineering faculty. Um, when we graduate, we feel that we did all what we have to do, and now we will find the jobs waiting for us, perfectly matching what we learned. And it was hard to realize that that's not the truth. That's not true. Yeah. So when I moved to Saudi Arabia, I joined as quality manager in concrete company, which was irrelevant to my main skills in the digital engineering and even in the steel design and these kind of things that I mastered earlier. But still, it was something that I can do, and that's why I joined it till I find the best opportunity. And it's always challenging when you um, graduate. You think you will find the perfect job fitting to your skills, but unfortunately, this don't usually happen. And yeah, during this 2 years after I joined Saudi Arabia, I started being very active in communicating with companies. These are things that I can do, all things related to BIM modeling and extracting quantities from BIM, supporting design and delivering shop drawings, design drawing from BIM. And the maturity level of BIM at that stage was not very high also. So it was a little hard to find an opportunity that fits that, but I found it at let's say after 4 or 5 months of deep searching through another training center in Saudi Arabia. I joined that training center. It was an Autodesk training center. I joined, worked as an instructor, and I started having my reputation as a Revit instructor, but not only Revit. I started giving also courses in some other BIM software. So this reputation started to build up bit by bit at the background while I kept working with my concrete company till one of the clients that I delivered training for wanted to deliver a BIM model at one of the largest projects in Saudi Arabia, and they didn't have any BIM resources, and they came to me asking me to, uh, can you help us in delivering this project? So it was then when I told them yes, that's the specific uh, thing that I always dreamt of, and yeah, when I joined that company, it was a large step in my career. It was the first time to work full time in the career that I dreamt of, and it was a construction company. We were delivering design and build scopes for mainly Riyadh Metro project, which is the
Yeah.
largest metro project in the Middle East. And this project, till now, it's not yet open, but it's about to be operating in Saudi Arabia. And yeah, I worked in that project for around 6 years with that company. I was responsible for the BIM scope for that company. I helped in uh, transforming the way they deliver designs
Mm.
and shop drawings. And we did lots of use cases that was very advanced at that time. Between the period from 2015 to 2020, yeah, that during that period we used them for um, site coordination. We used it for even reinforcement coordination. Sometimes we had to install on site some very large concrete precast elements, and these elements had steel protruding from each element. And for example, you have a column, and you need the beam steel to come, which is the high grade steel, and it need to fit between the steel of the column. So we did this coordination to that level using BIM, and also we used
Wow.
it for early bidding stages. We had some difficulties in providing competitive bids. So that because the data that we have at bidding stage was not very mature, sometimes we didn't have enough details at bidding stage. So we developed the BIM models based on the bidding drawings that we receive and use that to quantify and detail some specific parts to get better estimates for what are we actually building, and that helped us in delivering much more competitive prices because we had this certainty where when we
Mm.
are certain that yes, our prices are actually for what we are doing, so we were able to reduce our margins for profit because yeah, we had this better accuracy. So during this part, delivered variety of projects in beside Riyadh Metro projects also, and yeah, the team grew, and we had larger team, and yeah, it was a good part of the journey where I tried lots of things and I had this freedom to use them as needed to support the organization.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And so you went from there into more of a consulting business, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. And after Fresnay, that was the company where I
Mm,
worked at the contractor company, I moved to WSP.
mm,
And this is another milestone in my career. Moving to WSP was also something um, very rewarding to me because um, till that time I thought what I'm doing is just the normal BIM stuff that everyone do. But when I attended the interview with WSP and I was accepted. Uh, that was um, that has very positive feeling to me. So it was a very important step to me, and I wanted not only to just work for an international company, but I wanted to be an added value for them, and that was my target since the beginning to ensure I'm not just getting the benefit of working for such a company, but also to add value there. And I think that during my 3.5 years with WSB, I have done some good work that I'm very proud of. And my role with WSB was a little different. We were a consultant, but it was project management consultant. So we were working directly with the client to support them in developing their requirements and
mm,
then supervising other consultants and contractors in delivering these scopes. And when it comes to digital delivery, this allowed me to work on the largest projects in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East. Um, so all of our projects at that time when I joined were looking to have proper digital delivery that can support this kind of huge scale projects. And with the support for sure of the whole team, we were able to help our clients in having better digital requirements and to keep the deliverables in track during the various milestones. Um, One of the most remarkable projects that I worked in with WSP was called Wadi Safar. Wadi Safar is 60 million square meter area for VVIP residency, lots of hotels, lots of entertainment activities, sports facilities, and yeah, it's a huge project as part of the Raya Gate project. And the digital delivery for this project was massive. We were delivering thousands of BIM models, and we were coordinating with around 20 consultants and contractors, in addition to the various authorities and various um, um, client teams. So yeah, it's one of the projects that I'm really proud of. And this part with WSP um, not only helped me in mastering my digital skills, but also the management part of it,
mm.
because in in our role as project managers, at the end we are project managers. Yeah, regardless you are digital delivery specialist or project controls, whatever your role, you are actually a project manager. So your main role is to ensure that the project is delivered and to be that flexible to absorb all the changes and challenges that face the project to take it to the delivery zone.
Yeah, it's interesting how we come up as technologists and we understand the technology so well, but we all end up in having to figure out process and people as well. But
Yeah,
it's not just the tools and the technology. There's a couple more things that we've got to figure out along the way.
yeah, you're right. You're right. And also, I would give a great credit to the masters that I took in global BIM management. Yeah, before taking that masters, I was very hesitant whether it's worth it or not. But yeah, it gave me another perspective for BIM from a management perspective, where um, at the end we are also managing information and managing data. So yes, the modeling part is very important, but the looking for your models and your drawings as just information containers give you a whole new perspective for what you are doing. So this data need to be structured, need to be secured, need to be coordinated. So all of this stuff, yeah, was adding great value to my career when I was developing as a manager rather than just um, a production uh, specialist.
Now, you kind of took a slightly different pathway because a lot of people come from the kind of architectural engineering consulting background and then go to the construction side. How do you think that was different when you came from construction? You probably had a lot more real site experience and things.
Yeah, and lots of empathy to contractors. Yeah.
Good.
So when I joined my first meeting with a contractor who don't want to deliver as per the digital requirements, I told them I know where you are coming from, and I feel the pain, and I feel your problems, because when I was working at the construction side, it was always challenging to convince my other teams and my managers about the return of investments and why we should be using this. But that helped me in understanding the other point of view when I'm at the management side. So when we dealt with contractors, I was always able to um, find the win-win situation that can help them to also benefit from what they are delivering to us. So yeah, it was very helpful. And instead of just enforcing requirements, I was able to be flexible and
Mm-hmm.
understand their issues, their delays, their reasons for
Mm,
everything. So that made the conversations and communications with the stakeholders much more easier. And
mm,
I think, or I claim, that most of the contractors that I worked with as a project manager, I was able to get them to deliver uh, their required deliverables, but not only deliver it, but benefit from it in site, and be able to use it for coordination and reducing cost and time, which is their first priority.
mm. That's so good to have that consultative approach, almost like a negotiator trying to
Yeah,
make sure everybody's on the same team. Yeah.
yeah, you are right. Because it's the only way that I found working. Um, I
Hmm.
saw lots of peers that tried to always enforce things that's not practical. If it's not practical, it's just a waste of time. So
Mm,
when we deal with digital delivery, our main concern would be why we are doing it, and um, which stakeholder will benefit from that, and that will be the driver to the requirements drafting. So the BIM goals for each organization is an important step that sometimes are skipped. But yeah, finding this motivation and the correct reasons for every organization for delivering their digital requirements is an important step.
mm. Sometimes BIM and digital is viewed as this thing over here, and it's not seen as part of the mission critical part of the project. How do you go about making that, bridging that gap?
Yeah, and we always, or for a long time, we as the digital experts used to um, just stay blaming others for why they are resisting, why they don't want to implement that. But I think that this is somehow changing, and instead of us previously uh, having to convince everyone of the reasons why they use this, currently this is shifting to become the normal practice, and it's helping us
Mm.
because I remember a friend of mine said that before, and I always use his quote. It's very similar to mobile phones. By time you realize that it's actually delivering value, it's it makes sense today to speak about why mobile phones are important, but that was a discussion 20 years ago, for example. So this is
Mm-hmm.
changing also for digital delivery and BIM. It's changing, and also from our side as experts, we are the ones who should um, do some efforts to find this value for
Mm.
the people that will use this technology. We must be um, um, uh, marketing and sharing or promoting the use of
Mm.
the digital practices for its value, nor
Mm.
not for what it is, not just because it's BIM or
Cool.
it's a digital tool or it's trending, but for the actual value it's delivering to this specific entity.
Yeah. And making your way out on Summit, it exposes that, right? Like we can't end up in an echo chamber where we're just talking to each other about why BIM's
Yeah,
important,
you're right.
because we don't understand the value down the chain. We have to get out and expose it and test, really stress test, like what
Yeah,
what is this value that we're providing the construction site.
yeah, absolutely. Because sometimes because we are daily exposed to this, and deep inside ourselves we understand the real value, so sometimes we expect that other people would understand this by default. So yeah, sometimes when at some of my early presentations, when I presented at a specific event, and this event was mainly for contractors. It was part of the International Contractors Conference, as I remember, and all the attendees were pure contractors, and um, the event itself was not a digital event. So my session there was a blog to just speak about the digital engineering and BIM. And yeah, that day I remember that I presented about ISO 19650, and after this presentation, people came to me. You seem to be speaking about something very good, but what is what is that? What are you speaking about? We thought
What
you
are
were
you saying?
exactly. So yeah, we need to know
Talk their
which
language. Yeah.
parts of our digital engineering world is very important to other stakeholders.
So true. So you're very generous with sharing your advice and you like teaching. You have many followers on LinkedIn, but what's one piece of advice you would give someone who's just coming out of that college, university, and they're about to try and find their way? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I would say flexibility. Um, don't imagine that um, you will find the perfect world quickly, and sometimes you might not find it. So you will need to be flexible and need to be to improvise, try to fit the available opportunities till you find the best opportunity. And uh, I'm not sure if we are lucky or not, but in this world, the traditional education is becoming obsolete. So you need to keep learning all the time. So this is also part of the flexibility you should show. So my general advice is flexibility, facing the the new roles that being
Because it
developed
moves
in
so
our world,
quickly.
the changes. Yeah, exactly. Everything is
Mm.
changing very quickly, and
Mm.
the new generations need to be very flexible in adapting these
Mm.
changes.
So true. And we all make mistakes, and it's a fact of life. What mistakes would you perhaps reflect on and share that perhaps others could learn from?
Yeah, yeah. The main mistake is sometimes perceptions or expectations are not um, correct. Sometimes we look at others and have these expectations that they are uh, successful, so they are doing exactly what they like. So there is no perfect job that you would find. It's always a struggle and a pursuit of finding the correct role and the best opportunity. So this wrong expectations was my mistake at some points, and this drove lots of disappointments. And it's very bad to have these negative feelings in your life, and just because of uh, wrong and unrealistic expectations. So
Mm.
yeah, if there is a mistake that I've done for at early stages was this unrealistic expectations. But
Mm.
yeah,
And were
it
they
helped me to adapt.
expectations of your own success, or were they expectations of how others might react? You know, because
Yeah,
we
for
can all have these
example,
struggles.
yeah, you are right. For example, I had expectations that if I worked at this location, or if I moved from this organization to this organization, I'll find the relief, or the, let's say, less stress, or um, less hiccups, or less
Mm.
problems. But it's the nature of life that you will always have your own troubles. So
Mm.
don't
It's
don't
true.
yeah, and also it's not only about one step that you'll do and will change everything. You need to always keep learning, keep working till you find the best scenario. So I'm sometimes I thought there is a perfect scenario, but yeah, now I'm more realistic, and I understand that whenever I'm in a situation, I'm choosing the best scenario. So at every step I'm taking, I'm just weighing the positives and negative, and just living with the negatives. That makes your mood much better when you realize that this
Part of
um,
life.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's nature of life. So yeah, I
Great
don't want
advice.
to go to specifics of these expectations, but yeah, you need to know that when you take a decision, it's not just the decision that will make your life better, but it's the
Mm.
decision and how you will act after taking the decision, how you will. Uh, it's your life, and you are the one who should direct it in the way you want. Yeah, it's
Uh,
not just one step that will make it better.
yeah, it's much like the saying, it's a journey of 1,000 miles, and
Yeah,
you look back and covered a lot of ground.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Um, maybe speaking of which, I'm sure you look ahead as far as you can. Um,
Yeah.
what is it about the future in the next, I don't know, 2, 3, 5 years time? What is it that you're looking forward to? Maybe that you can't implement now because maybe there isn't the technology to support what
Hmm.
you want to do. Um, but you're going to be here for a lot longer. Like, what is it that you're looking forward to most about where you're going?
Yeah, my ambition is huge, and I always have um, huge goals. So I always try to also be realistic. So it's a hard equation to maintain, but yeah, the let me try to tell you that I don't always stick the goals to specific dates. So when we say about the next 3 to 4 years, no, I don't have a goal that I can tell you, yes, I will exactly do it on that date, but I treat my goals a little differently. So once I have this goal, I do my best to accomplish it. If I can achieve it tomorrow, that's great. If I can't, then after tomorrow. So it's always my way to in that direction that matters. I will keep doing it, and yes, it's good um, in both directions. So even if I can accomplish it earlier, that's great. If I can't, and even if I died before achieving it, it's great to keep working in that direction. And my main goal in my career is to really make a positive value, not only to a specific country, not only to a specific organization, but really deep inside myself, I'm trying to find how life can be better for new generations. So it's my goal is related to how we can find um, a way to help these new generations in finding their way, being useful parts of our ever-changing industry, and not only the industry, the whole world. And I'm trying to practice this with my kids because yeah, that's the field that I'm doing, and also I'm trying to practice this with everyone who reaches out to me on LinkedIn, trying to help, mentor, and guide people. So I think I would say I achieved my goal if by a specific time, no one who knows me reach out to me and ask me what should I do. I graduated, but I can't find a job. What's the point, or what's the skills that I should do? So it's a little complicated uh, dream, and maybe it's not only related to me. Maybe it's something um, very generic, but yeah, I would like to play a role in making this happen. So it's more of making the education system fits the world um, requirements, let's say the life requirements. I want it to be as generic as well. So I won't say the industry requirements, but I would say the life requirements. So I want
Yeah.
this education to just fit with that. And yeah, it's something uh, a very on a very long term. So yeah,
That's really awesome. I really like what you said there, and I think it'll be so good for a lot of people to hear that and just be reminded that we have our work ambitions, but it, it's part of life, and you've got to balance it out and have a very balanced approach to life. And but I might still push you a little bit more about the industry that we find ourselves in. Um,
yeah.
as you described, you've got these great big ambitions. It's a little like reminded me of the how do you how do you how do you eat an elephant? It's like it's just one bite at a time,
Yeah,
and you have these. It's really cool to have these great ambitions, and then just to get at it day after day, a little bit
yeah,
at a time. But now, what I want to ask you about is the industry has big ambitions as well.
Yeah.
And we as builders, general contractors or consultants, you've worked in both areas. So what I want to know is, what do they look like in the future?
Yeah.
They've both got, great ambitions as well.
Yeah.
What does it look like for them in the future?
Yeah. I think um, we have lots of emerging technologies, and that's for sure helping in making um, work easier. But when we speak about construction and places where we live and work and operate, I always remember something that I learned at WSP. In WSP, they had a program called Future Ready. So in that, we always used to think about how what we build now would help um, people that will live here after 200 years, 100 years, or more. So always thinking of what we are doing at the moment as something that will have much longer lifetime. And I think the the best thing that technology can help in is to make this achievable. So, for example, things like um, prefab construction. I'm a big fan of this, and I think that's uh, if I would choose one technology or one modern method of construction that should continue and have the best potential, I would say the prefab and shifting from um, as possible from working on sites to working in bit more controlled environments to and then just install what we build on site, and then how this can help also in having um, easier demolition and easier change of the buildings we build. So having as modular construction as we can to ensure that maybe at a certain time we can just change some modules of our building or some parts of our building to fit a new purpose that our future generations would use. And this takes us also to the standardization and how we require as an industry to move towards better standardization and better tools that will make things manufactured in other countries can easily fit in our country, or things buildings that's done or experts that build in a specific country can easily work in other countries. Standardization can help us as humanity in utilizing our overall knowledge. So this knowledge can be shared easily. These technologies can be used everywhere, and yeah. So if something that I would like to see at its best in 5 years, it would be better standardization that can help better modular construction and prefab construction.
Right.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's a lot of, I guess, buzzwords or hype, now around data and AI and this type of thing. Um, what do you think construction data and design data really means, and what's the value of those initiatives?
Yeah, I think data in general is valuable when we speak about decision making. So any data related to construction and design that can support uh, data-driven decision making, that's the best data that we can have. So in general, if we have structured data for design and construction that we can use to analyze and get real meaning for this data, especially with the size of data that we have nowadays. So that's what really matters when we speak about construction data. and design data that can be um, supporting to decision making.
Definitely.
So we've got this question about tools. Now, do you like to quickly fix something or come up with a permanent solution, or do we slowly creep up and finesse a solution? So if you had a choice of three tools, you had duct tape for your quick fix, kept moving fast, duct tape, screwdriver, or a hammer. What are you going to pick?
Uh, I think a screwdriver, maybe.
We can
Yeah,
adjust it and finesse along the way.
yeah, I think screwdriver. Maybe, yeah, the tape is more practical. And I tend to personally be very practical. Yeah, but yeah,
There's no
not
wrong
always, but
answer.
yeah. So maybe, yeah, I would say tip. Yeah, I like to quick fixes, but always when I do any, I always remind myself and put a reminder for the long-term solution. But yeah,
I need to do
I
this,
always
fix this
tend
better.
to fix something now.
Yes. No,
Yeah,
I get
it's
it.
interesting. There's that phrase from Facebook, move fast and break things. And I think, in the early days of Facebook, from an engineering point of view, I'm sure there's lots of duct tape as we try
Yeah,
and come up with a solution. And in our kind of, I mean, maybe 10 years ago, I think in the earlier BIM days, I think we were all trying to grasp at the technology and come up with solutions that were pretty quick at the time. And then over time, standardized solutions come out, and you got your ISO 19650 and those sorts of
yeah,
things have become fine tuned along the way.
yeah, exactly.
Um, and then the other question we have is concrete, steel, or timber. And I don't know how we can
Uh,
relate this one back to any digital
yeah,
engineering
but
experts.
yeah, maybe I can say this one. I'm sure that I would select steel, because
Of course.
when I was at university, I chose steel as my main, let's say, sub major. I don't know. Yeah, it was the main professions that I focused on, and I worked in steel for a long time. And I like steel over concrete because much lighter, much easier to fabricate and use. And in the Middle East, steel and concrete are what we use. We rarely use timber, and that's why it won't pop up to my mind. But here I like it. Yeah, it have all the good things from steel, but sometimes yeah, we can't use it for complex buildings. Yeah, but yeah, I would go with the steel. I like steel. It's a very smart material.
Yeah, that's cool. Um, and then the last question we have is a bit more about the hardware technology and maybe some solutions that you might have seen recently, or
Mhm.
and we've seen a lot over time. The evolution of goggles and 3D printers and all this sort of stuff. Is there anything that you've seen recently, or even something in the past that's kind of sticking around a bit more?
Hmm. Um, not Yeah, not a hardware. Maybe yeah. If we speak hardware, so yes, VR goggles are great, but it need to be much lighter and much practical. Currently, it's not practical at all. When it can be something like a lens or something like that, that portable or something that's built in, yeah, or a ship, whatever, it can be more practical. But currently, with its current design, I don't think it's that practical. And also all the GPT um, engines, that's a great technology that for sure will last for a long time and will keep developing because yeah, it's a huge change.
Uh, 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 yeah, it's a big space, and I think we're all
Yeah,
still yet to figure out how it all lands. Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
Well, we might wrap it up there, Mustafa. I want to thank you so much for spending some time with us, sharing your story. And as Luke said, you've got a lot of followers. There'll be you've supported the industry and you've taught so many people. And there'll be so many people that are going to be interested in hearing more about you. And the advice and the wisdom along the way has been really good. Just even personally, I'm sure there'll be lots of takeaways from this session. So, yeah, just really want to thank you so much for spending an hour with us. It's been really, really good.
Thanks a lot, Michael and Luke. It was a great time, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I know that at some points I was just speaking a lot about my dreams, but yeah, I always like all the memories that I had through my journey, and yeah, I like speaking about it because it reminds me of um, yeah, the pieces that formed me. So yeah, it was really enjoying session. Thanks a lot for your time also.
You didn't become a heart or a brain surgeon, but you did become a surgeon for digital construction.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and yeah, I always tell my father things like that.
yeah. Thank you for sharing, mate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.